quite a few weeks. Anyway, we got to the point where she progressed, considerably. And so we thought she needed to meet with the bishop. And so she did that. I'm leaving out some of this, but she did that. So the bishop had a temple preparation class set up. So he invited her to attend that. She said yes, she wanted to do that. So she attended that and felt very good about it. And so we're still teaching. And I think Sister Barnes is what I was supposed to call her. And she said, I don't have a dress. I mean, it's not that she's poor. She was kind of raised on farmland over there in the Salt Lake area. So we thought, well, that's not we're trying to get her to go to church. As you know, you do that the first time you meet anybody, and you teach, you invite them to church. And so it took, I don't know how long, several weeks.
I think it took probably.
We finally went there one day, and she said, oh, how did you go to church? She says, I did. And so she did. Went to church on her own, by all means. But apparently somebody nice, friendly in the ward got acquainted with. And she did have a visiting teacher. So anyway, long story short, she finally got her temple clothing. And she set a time to go. So we went, participated in that at the Jordan River Temple. And when you see somebody like that, that has been inactive for like 40 years and progressed, that fall. And so she went through a course by her side with another lady. And then afterwards they did the ceiling, so we went up to the ceiling and had an opportunity to see that where she was sealed to her husband.
And to a son.
Had a young son who died, I don't know how old, very young. You'd think the spirit was strong. That's one of the great ones.
I think someone like Julie that's been away from church for as long as she had been, the idea of going back to church was so scary to her. She just didn't think she could do it. And so I think through prayer and through our encouragement, I think, and we told her, we said, we will go with you. We will pick you up, we'll go with you. And by the way, we did take her and another lady to at Christmas time to the Messiah. And she enjoyed that. So, and that was good. So, anyway, I, like Ward said, she said, well, I don't have a dress, and I offered to go shopping with her, everything.
I said, you want to do that, Julie. This is the experience you've never had before.
She's a teeny tiny lady. She's just teeny. And by the way, her mother is 94, and her mother is still living. And so
she was there too.
We were, when she finally got
her,
yes, so when she finally gone through the temple prep classes and got her recommend, and then her mother fell and wasn't even able to walk for several weeks. And so we thought, oh my word, here we go. Just these things seem to get in the way of someone trying to do the things they need to do. But she made the arrangements with the temple, and her mother was able to be there, and her visiting teacher was able to be. I was planning on being her what do you call it?
Escort.
Escort. and she asked me to be it, but then her visiting teacher, she said that she wanted to be it. I said, that's fine. It was probably bitter anyway. Anyway, we went with her again probably 2 weeks ago, and I think the second time you go to the temple is a lot scarier than the first time because there's not all these people around to help you. And so I think she was a little bit frustrated. So I called her yesterday and I said, Julie, have you been back to the temple? No. She said, but I guess I could go alone. And I said, well, 1st of October, I said the next couple of weeks kind of busy, but I said, we'll just go and do initiatories and explain to her, you know, reminded her what that was. So anyway, she will be fine because she feels like she was doing the right thing and she felt strongly about it. And some of these people, I mean, we were there at the right time, but no matter who it was, I think Julie was ready to have the gospel back in her life again. So it was just wonderful experience, you know, getting to know her and being with her. And then we worked with another Julie that was completely the opposite, that she was just completely negative about everything. And so we stressed more about having to go and see her than any other person because she'd always bring up the bad things, the negative things about the church, just, you know, things she had read and this and that and the other. And
is this the one whose grandchild was killed?
yeah. And I mean, it's hard to put yourself in another person's place, but she had a problem with a granddaughter was killed in an accident, and apparently the one that caused the accident was a young man that was just on his way to go on a mission, and he just left and went on his way. There was no restitution, nothing. And so to maybe, I mean, like, she had 4 sons that all went on missions, this lady. But she and her husband were never really that active. And her children, even the parents of the child that was killed, they, you know, kind of had a problem with a while, but they are all active. In fact, they went down to the St. George Temple, one of her sons lived down there, and did her husband's work for him. And she went with them and sat in the waiting room, but she's just not ready. She just is not ready to do this yet. And so we, you know, we didn't push her. Probably we waited maybe a month and we didn't return to her place. And then she called us one day and asked if we'd come by. And she knew that it was the end of her mission. She probably thought she was going to be through with us, you know, get us off her back. But we went over there and she gave